Let's get talking. Hello, and welcome to the podcast of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. And hello, my name is Carl E. Long, and I am your host, and this is my podcast, episode number 48, season 1. I gotta decide when season 2 starts. I think I'm doing the annual year, the actual year. So next year will be season 2, but this is season 1, and this is episode 48 of the podcast. Welcome. So here it is. I'm recording tonight. This is what, a Thursday? No, a Friday night, and I'm up recording. You know, when I get a lot of material and I get the what I want the episode to be about, and I start gathering material, I'm ready to go. So here it is, about 10:26 p.m. and I said, let's record. It's time to go. So tonight, guys, I'm coming at this raw and unfiltered. The American people who voted for Donald Trump, many of you have been just plain conned. Yeah, I'm not sugarcoating it. Plain and simple. He hustled his way into power, and it was never meant to be for the people. Now, why do I say that? I've been watching, I watch the news a lot. I listen to what's going on, and I'm listening to the struggle of Democrats trying to find their fitting, Republicans just running over everything. You've seen people that have been capitulating. You see how the Republicans, no matter what Donald Trump does, they are right in his corner. And you see Donald Trump use everything he has, power-wise, to do what he wants to do. And it's all about him. And I cannot understand why you don't see the con. Yeah. So what angers me is how many good, hard-working Americans fell for it. These folks, y'all should have known better. I mean, there was a time when people were able to critically think for themselves, and question authority and see through a lie. But all of a sudden, we've lost that moment when Trump opened his mouth and came down that freaking elevator. He twisted minds, guys. He's turned neighbor against neighbor. This is what's happening in our country. We're laughing stock. He's convinced people that he was their campaign. I mean, they would do anything. Have you ever seen one of those rallies where they're out there camping? I mean, it was crazy. I get loving a candidate and supporting a candidate, but, we're not crazy. People always say that black people, we only vote for black candidates. No, we don't. You will never see me vote for Clarence Thomas or any of certain kind of a Herman Cain. No, you'll never see me voting for those people. No, because they don't have my values. They don't have my issues. And quite frankly, they have betrayed black people. So they would never find my vote. But he's convinced people that he is their champion. I'm talking Trump. He's convinced y'all that he's their champion. He's convinced you that he's your voice. But he has never cared about everyday women or men. He just doesn't. Why can't you see that? Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump, his money, his power, his ego. That's pretty much it. And that's how he's left this country divided, poisoned by lies. I mean, and people are still defending him like he's some kind of savior of some sort, when the truth is he's the one that's been playing everybody. He's conned them into blind loyalty. while stripping away your ability to think objectively. I'm angry because I know America deserves better than this. We deserve leaders who fight for people, not leaders who scam the people. And if that truth makes some folks uncomfortable, well, good. I don't care, because it's time for y'all to wake up. This is not about left or right. It's about being honest enough to call out a fraud when you see one. And Donald Trump is a fraud. This is the biggest con game in American political history. And the sad part, millions of people can't see it. Millions. So I'm not holding back tonight. And y'all can come at me in the comments, you MAGA people, because whenever you people speak the truth, you just troll us like crazy because you don't want to hear the truth. You know, you don't want to hear the truth. But it's time to talk about how did we get here, how people got played, and how dangerous it is when a nation gives its trust to a con man. All right? Now here's the truth. When you fall for a con, you don't just lose your money. You lose your mind, your voice, and sometimes even your country. And I'm here to say tonight, America, no more cons. We got to stop this. We got to stop this. So I came across this video of this guy. I don't know who he is. I should have looked him up to see who he is. But he got trolled on Fox News by something he said. And he's talking about how MAGA just came for him like crazy. But he's going to put everything in perspective as to what the tone of this podcast is about. Because, quite frankly, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with people not caring. I'm fed up with people not giving a damn. I'm fed up with people sitting back and watching this man tear our country up. And as I always say, I am a man of faith, and I know God is in control of this thing. But I always say this, faith without works is dead. You can't just sit back and wait. There's some stuff you can do. Jesus had to fight. He didn't just sit back and just wait because he knew God was going to get him out of stuff. No. So there's a lot going on in our country, guys. It's ugly. It's nasty. It's unbelievable. And you can't just sit back and let this happen. A lot of people are trying to fight hard. A lot of people, y'all think Democrats they're doing everything they can within their power, but they have been just grabbed and they can't do anything. Which is why the government is shut down right now, because that's the only power they had. Trying to save your health care. Yeah, that's what they did. I mean, in order to win with Trump, you have to play dirty. He's a con man. He is a con man. And he's going to pull out everything that he can to con you again. And you got to pay attention and not fall for it. All right, so let's listen to this guy here. This is a really good take on what this podcast is about. Here we go.
So last night on Fox.
Okay, let me do something real quick here. I gotta.
So last night on Fox News, the primetime anchor Jesse Waters played one of my videos against Trump and trashed me on live TV. Well, I've spent the last 24 hours or so getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hate mail and hate messages, emails from people just coming after me viciously. I mean, if I read you some of these messages, you really would have a hard time believing it. And it really kind of occurred to me a few hours ago that, this isn't really even about Trump at this point. It's not about all of these corrupt, grossly incompetent people he has in his cabinet. Over 30 of them are from Fox News. They have no business being in high levels of government. And we all know the grifting, all these terrible things that this administration is doing. It's not really even about them. You know what it's about? It's about the almost 80 million Americans that think this is okay. They really do. All of these emails I've been getting, and I've been reading them just to see how vicious they are. You wouldn't believe some of the things. These people want to kill me. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They're so vicious. These are fellow Americans. It isn't really about Trump. It's about half the country who thinks it's okay to steal, to lie, to cheat, to bully, to do all these things that Trump and his corrupt administration are doing. They think it's okay. Guys, we got a big problem. I really believe, honestly, that this half of the country, if it were 100 years ago, maybe even now, they would be pro-slavery. They would think it's okay. They want to relegate women to the kitchen, send them back into, the submission of their husbands, and move toward Christian nationalism and all these things. They really think this is right. We clearly do not have the same value system. So here's my question to you. And I'm asking this. I'm really asking this question. I'm asking myself and I'm asking you to respond. Is it really worth living in this country when half of it really believes that these things are okay? Is it really worth living here? I don't know about you. I don't need to live here. I can live anywhere in the world. And a lot of you probably can too. Is it really worth living in the United States than living the so-called American dream when half the country is absolutely morally corrupt? What do you think? I'd love to hear your comments.
All right, so you hear what he just said there. And it made me think a lot. He's right. We have no matter how we poll, no matter what, there's like roughly, and I'm talking just voters, we don't know how every heart of America is. And polls, polls are polls, but there's a measurement that comes with a poll, and it always comes to there's a split among our country. But there are half of people, and we'll just say that because we don't know the exact number. Nobody really knows because all of us haven't spoke our mind. So a poll has spoke for you that believe that what Trump is doing is okay. It is okay. And that's alarming. Because all of you have been conned. And it's okay with you. We don't understand this. We don't understand why some of the things that he's doing is okay with you. Why is it okay for him to put military in cities and things of that? Why is that okay? That's not America. We don't put our military on our citizens. The way he's handling these ICE raids, it's not humane. That's not okay. Nobody wants the borders open and all that stuff. We don't want people treated inhumanely. That's not okay. All the money that you're making off of the government and your company and your children and whatever, you know what? If this was any other president, they would be on lockdown, trying to get impeached or something. But what you're doing, Trump, using the American people in your stand is not okay. It's not okay. So there was a new article out about, there's some analysis been done on the 2024 election. And I have done a podcast about how I think that there was a tampering with the election. I still believe that. But just based on the results that we do have, let me show you what we're finding out here. All right, so Trump won with a voter coalition that was more racially. Let me put this up here so you can really hear me. Okay, Trump won with a voter coalition that was more racially and ethnically diverse than in 2020 or 2016, according to a new Pew Research Center analysis of the 2024 electorate. Among Hispanic voters, Trump battled to near parity in 2024, 51% Harris 48%, Trump, after losing to Joe Biden 62 to 36 in 2020. Trump won 15% of black voters, up from 8% 4 years earlier. Trump also did better among Asian voters. While the majority of Asian voters voted for Harris, but 40% supported Trump, this was a narrower margin than in Biden's 2024 70% to 30%. These shifts were largely the results of differences in which voters turned out in the 2020 and 24 elections. As in the past, a relatively small share of voters switched which party's candidates they supported. All right, so what these numbers are saying here is that that little slither of you, all you black voters that went to Trump, all of you, he's never had Republicans don't have a racially charged race. They just don't. It's always very low on the Republican stage. For you Asians, you Latinos, and the blacks that went over there, that little small margin is what put him over, because Kamala only lost to him about 1.7% in the swing states overall. So y'all are the reason. I'm going to put it right there on y'all. I'm still mad at white women. But y'all vote. They've always voted the way they voted. I don't know why we put so much stock in them every year, but they voted the way they always vote. So you can be mad at them, but I was mad at them because it looked like they were going to do the right thing, but they didn't. So, but you three groups are the ones that threw this thing over. You really did. Okay, so let me see. What else do I have on this election results? In the educational divide, in each of the campaign, Trump has held an edge among voters without 4-year college degrees. So he wins the non-educated by his 14-point advantage among non-college voters, 56 to 42. Was double his margin in 2016. Harris won voters with college degrees by 57% to 41%, but that was smaller than Biden's lead. All right. It was a wider urban-rural gap. Trump won voters living in rural areas by 40 points, which was higher in his margins of 2020 or 2016. Harris's advantage among voters living in urban areas was nearly as large as 65% voted for Harris, 33% Trump. Continued differences by religious attendance. Nearly 2/3 of voters who attend religious services monthly or more, 64% voted for Trump, while only 1/3 supported Harris. Harris held a narrow of advantage. So basically, y'all are saying right there in that last category that Democrats are heathens. So all of you voted for Trump because he's supposed to be the big-time Christian? Is that what it is? Is that what it is, people that voted? This is just so messed up. And you all have gotten conned. Conned. Yes, there's no other way to say it. By a con man. Yeah. So I want to lay out a pattern that defined the Trump presidency and the campaigns that put him there. It was a pattern of repeated, calculated, and deliberate lies, not just exaggerations, not just bending the truth, but bold-faced lies told to you, his supporters, amplified through rallies, TV appearances, and social media. And you know what the dangerous point is? That y'all believed it. I'm not talking to all of y'all because I know some of y'all, everybody's, but the one of you that voted for him, you believed it. Some of y'all still do. And those lies continue to shape our country today. So I'm going to go through the lies. How about that? Let's go through the lies. We're going to go through the lies and let you hear what he was saying. All right. Lie number one, the 2020 election. Let's start there with the big one. Donald Trump told the American people that the 2020 election was stolen. He said the ballots were dumped in rivers, that dead people voted, that voting machines switched ballots from Trump to Biden. He promised mountains of evidence, but court after court, audit after audit, Republican elections officials, Trump's own attorneys, generally all said the same thing. It didn't happen. So all the people that said that, they're out of his camp right now. There was no widespread fraud, but he kept repeating this lie. And today's polls show that more than 1/3 of Americans still believe that election wasn't legitimate. There's still 1/3 of y'all out there that still believe this man was elected. Come on, you're being conned. I got a sip of water on that one. You are being conned by Donald Trump, and you don't even know it. That's the sadder part. All right, here's the second lie. Not lie number 2. Democrats and police. Trump told his supporters that Democrats wanted to abolish the police. He hammered this point over and over again. And the truth, not a single mainstream Democrat, not Joe Biden, not congressional leaders ever pushed to abolish the police. In fact, Biden said it clearly. I do not support defunding the police, but Trump painted Democrats as enemies of law enforcement. Now, we know what that means right now. What did he do on January 6th? He pardoned all the people that were attacking law enforcement. So what do you think about law enforcement, Donald Trump? And this message stuck. And even now, many Americans falsely believe Democrats wanted to dismantle police departments nationwide. Lie number 2. That's a lie. All right. Lie number 3. Let's keep going. I got 10 of them. I'm going to give them all to you. All right. Migrant invasions and open borders. He claimed that Democrats wanted open borders and we were encouraging criminals, traffickers, and terrorists to pour into this country. But really? That's what we wanted, Donald Trump? And Democrats supported border technology. We supported border technology is what I'm saying. We supported additional enforcement, asylum reforms, even during Biden's administration. Record deportations were done and removals continued. But Trump's lie made millions believe that Democrats were throwing open the gates and we were letting everybody in. It was just chaotic, and Democrats said, let them all in, no matter what. That was it. That's not true. It's not true. Maybe we're just a little bit more human when it comes to the border. We don't want people just thrown out, but we don't want people coming over the border just like everybody else, illegally. Nobody wants people coming over the border illegally. Hear us out. But you can't treat people like y'all are treating them. It's just not right. Just not right. All right. Lie number 4. COVID-19. All right. During the pandemic, Trump told the nation the virus would just like poof, disappear like magic. He said anyone who wanted to test could get one, when in reality, testing was, he lied, was scarce. That was before we even had the testing. He said it was under control. Even when the death toll was going up, guys, he really was careless here. And these weren't harmless. This was deathly. Many of these false claims were careless. It made people skeptical of mask wearing, vaccine. Ultimately, it cost people lives. That was a bad lie and a con, and you fell for it. And I experienced it straight on, because during the pandemic, when we finally opened retail stores, we had a requirement that you had to wear masks to come in. We didn't know about this thing. There was no vaccine yet. There was nothing yet, guys. And we were wearing masks. But these Republicans would walk in there and say, it's a lie. And they would just walk in, no mask. And we would put them kindly out. I said, I'm sorry. If you don't want to wear a mask, you have to leave the store. And they would fight us tooth and nail. But I didn't care. I did not care. I don't care if that was the policy. It was the city ordinance. If you didn't wear a mask, you could not come into a building. So you got put out of the store that I worked at that point. Yes, you did. So that's what I'm saying. It was out there and people believed it. All right. Lie number 5, the economy. Donald Trump claimed that he built the greatest economy in history. Did he? The truth. Job growth under Trump was actually slower than under the last 3 years of Barack Obama. The stock market's biggest gains, they came under other presidents. And the massive tax cuts he passed ballooned the deficit while delivering most of the benefits to the wealthy and corporations. But many people still believe that the economy was unmatched, and the numbers say otherwise. So he always lied about the economy, and y'all fall for that like crazy. Donald Trump is incapable of admitting to anything that he did wrong. So he just flexes and lies. If he wants it to be truth, he makes it the truth. He don't care if you're standing there and you watch him. He's still going to make it into a lie. Why do y'all fall for this? Can somebody please tell me? All right. Lie number 6. Blaming Democrats for violence when protests broke out. So this was all of us. Whenever the protests broke out after the murder of George Floyd, Trump insisted it was all the Democrats' fault. He said that cities led by Democrats, we encourage the violence, but here's the truth, guys. Unrest and uninterrupted nationwide, including under Republican leadership. I mean, that just happened. And much of this anger was fueled by Trump's own rhetoric, his refusal to calm the nation, and his eagerness to pit Americans against one another. You can blame Donald Trump for any unrest we have in this country. I've yet to see him do anything peaceful for all people. Yet. Oh my God. So, when I started looking at these over again, I kept going. And some people still believe this crap. They still believe it. All right, lie number 7. The Russian hoax. Over and over, Donald Trump said Russian interference in the 26th election was a hoax. He called it a Democratic invention, a witch hunt. But our U.S. intelligence agencies and the FBI, even the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee, all confirmed the same thing. Russia interfered to help Trump win. Yet his denial, repeated endlessly, and convinced millions of Americans that the entire thing was fake. Now, they know that they helped. And I'm not saying that they were in there to put votes in. They put in ads. They did things on social media. They were doing everything to help him win. They did. They put out all this stuff they were buying. I mean, they did. I mean, that's help. They helped voter fraud happen by, not voter fraud, voter suppression by pitting each other against each other and putting all these lies about things going on. The Russians were doing that. And we knew they were. A lot of that stuff that y'all were reading on Facebook, some of that stuff came from Russia. And y'all believed it. So that's the kind of interference we're talking about. It wasn't they voted tempered with any machine or anything like that. So let's make that clear. But there was intelligence that knew that they were doing it. And they knew that it came from Russia. Russian operatives. But Trump, of course, he's going to say what he's going to say. But, there you have it. All right. Lie number 8. Democrats and religion. All right. He told religious voters that Democrats wanted to ban God from the public square. He said we wanted to erase Christianity from America. And, but no Democrat ever proposed such a thing, guys. No legislation, no platform, no campaign for that. Still the lie stuck. And y'all think that we're just like, just religious, don't even care about God. And that's not true. I mean, that was weaponized faith. And people that Democrats were somehow at war with religion. Why would y'all think that? You guys don't have the whole thing to religion. There are Democrats that are religious just as well. Just as many. Oh, my God. Yeah. When I read these, it just makes me mad all over again. It does. All right. Lie number 9. Healthcare. Donald Trump promised again and again that he had a new healthcare plan ready to unveil. He said it would be cheaper, better, and cover everyone. He's always said it was coming in 2 weeks. That's his thing. In 2 weeks. But it never came. 4 years in office. No health care. There was never a comprehensive health care plan ever. He lied to y'all. Straight off. And you took it. You didn't even ask him about it. Why haven't you asked him? Yet many of his supporters still believe this was in the works. You have not even asked about it. He told y'all it's supposed to be here. Why aren't you writing him? Do you care? He told y'all it was coming. In 2 weeks. And here's slide number 10, the future of elections. And finally, Trump planted a dangerous seed. He told his followers that the only way he could lose was if Democrats cheated. That lie became a shield against accountability, and it was a weapon used again and again. It just didn't excuse his loss in 20. It drove thousands to storm the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. This man lied to y'all, and some of y'all got sent to prison. I mean, it eroded faith in our democracy, and that remains one of the most destructive falsehoods ever told by an American president. So these weren't just slips of the tongue, guys. These weren't little white lies. These were deliberate falsehoods. I mean, they were strategic lies. They were meant to mislead you, to divide you, and to make you think the worst. And you fell for it. You conned. And the damage is this stuff is still with us, because the danger is Trump told these lies and millions of you believed it. And some of you still do. Some of you still do. All right, so that was just a few of the many lies that Trump has done and conned you if you voted for him into voting for him. And some of you might still believe that stuff. All right, so if you got facts about any of them that you can prove it. Prove it. All right. So something else that I've been doing was I bought the new book by Kamala Harris, 107 Days by Kamala Harris. I got my book right here. I actually bought the Audible book because I listened to it in my car. It was so much better to listen and drive when I wasn't able to sit and read. And this is a very good read. I'm not trying to hawk her book, but I watched when Kamala was told, when Biden gave her the endorsement and she was ready, I watched every single thing that she did. Every single thing. And this book took me through, it was kind of hard to go through it. I can imagine what Kamala had to go through every single day, 107 days of the election, and what went on in every single thing that happened. And from reading this book, guys, it's a very good read. It's a very easy read, too. If you were following her, you'll be right in step with it because you remember everything. But she was set up to fail. I mean, they set her up to fail. And I'm talking not only the Trump administration, but on the inside. It's just that there's something about a powerful black woman that scares the heck out of a lot of people. This lady was way too smart. Should have been our president. And if she probably had 207 days, she might have made it on through. Because she fought hard for everybody. You need to read this book. You need to read it. So I dog-eared one thing that I wanted to talk to you about on her book. And this was on 35 days till the election, October 1st. This was in 2023. And this was about Tim Walz's debate. It goes, let me read this one little part here that I thought was interesting, and I'll tell you. So, that meant Tim would have to be a closer on the debate. This was about debate. It was not a comfortable role for him, for he had fretted from the outset that he wasn't a good debater. I discounted his concerns. He was so quick and pithy in front of the crowds at our rallies, I thought he'd bring those qualities to the podium. He'd prepared with Pete Buttigieg, a consummate debater, and I thought his big heart and his good humor would counter J.D. Vance's malice and pessimism. All right? But J.D. Vance is a shape shifter. That's why I wanted to read this. And the shifty guy, he understood that his default meanness wouldn't play against Tim Walz's sunny disposition and patent decency. Throughout the debate, he toned the anger and the insults way down. As Van Jones later remarked, he sane-washed the crazy. There were no cat ladies, no pet-eating nations, no personal insults, just a mild-mannered "aw shucks" appellation pretending he had a lot in common ground with that night Midwestern coach. When Tim fell for it and started nodding and smiling at JD's fake bipartisanship, I moaned to Doug, her husband. This is Kamala talking. What is happening? I told the television screen, you're not there to make friends with the guy who is attacking your running mate. There's not supposed to be any on-air fact-checking in this debate, and there haven't been any. But the moderators did correct Vance twice on the overwhelming scientific consensus on climate change and the legal immigration status of Haitians in Springfield. So I wanted to point that out because Kamala calls out everybody, baby. She calls out what Tim Walz did. She calls out what Biden did wrong. Anybody. You know what I mean? Even with The View, she calls out herself when she made the mistake of answering Sonny's thing. She's not holding back and telling you the truth of what she can tell. So I wanted to read that particular passage because to show you how she just came out on, and I think she called everybody, let them know she was going to have chapters on them. But she let Tim Walz have it. She was like, you're not there to be his friend. Do you remember that debate? So J.D. Vance is just a shapeshifter. They are so slick and sly and cunning. It's ridiculous. I mean, here's J.D. Vance, the man who conned Donald Trump. He used to speak horrible things about them, but then now he speaks so much love and adoration that he strokes Donald Trump. So now what did that get him? To be the vice president. Yeah. So I wanted to let you hear something about J.D. Vance back in the day and let you hear about how he had just flip-flopped from one thing to the other. Listen to this.
Out that a former buddy of his has leaked some text messages that he sent in regard to Donald Trump dating back to 2016. Now, J.D. Vance was very critical of Trump. That's not a secret. But it turns out that he even compared Donald Trump to Hitler. So Josh McLaurin is the lawmaker from Georgia who decided to share the screenshot. He says, the screenshot below is J.D. Vance's unfiltered explanation from 2016 of the breakdown in Republican politics that he now personally is trying to exploit. The America's Hitler bit is at the end. The public deserves to know the magnitude of this guy's bad faith. And then he shares the screenshot of the text message. I'm gonna read it in its entirety because I think all of it is fascinating and it shows you what J.D. Vance really thinks, but will clearly message something completely different for his political aspirations. He wrote, again, back in 2016, but I'm not surprised by Trump's rise, and I think the entire party has only itself to blame. We are, whether we like it or not, the party of lower income, lower education white people, and I have been saying for a long time that we need to offer those people something, and hell, maybe even expand our appeal to working class black people in the process. Ooh, wow.
These boots are made for adventures in the wild and for survival.
All right, so I just want to play a little bit of that, showing you how this guy has shifted from hating Trump. J.D. Vance just wanted to be elected something. These guys don't care nothing about you, baby. They don't care about you. They don't care. You've been conned. You have been conned, and every single one of you, you can sit there and come up with something that you're going to say that they've done for. What have they done for the American people since they've been done? Nothing. This whole agenda has been about Trump. But if you're somebody that's happy that what he's doing to the immigrants, then I guess he's done something for you. But shame on you, because you're not a good human being. No, you're not. So, if you're one of the ones that's glad that he's taking messing with black museum artifacts and history and everything like that, and you think that's a good thing, then shame on you. You're not a good person either. So you see what I'm saying? This is getting really, really crazy. And guys, the people, we control this thing, but until half of this country of you wake up and know that you've been conned and start calling this man out for the things that he has not done for you, that he promised, then maybe we can have some things move. So far, the only thing that has really, rattled Donald Trump's ego has been the Jeffrey Epstein thing. And I think that he is terrified that what might come out of that. Watch for future days, because once they get that thing where it's going to be subpoenaed, they have enough votes to get those files released, Donald Trump is going to start. He's going to start genuflexing and changing and trying to do something different to get you off of that, because he's afraid of something that went on there. And I know that Donald Trump loves little young girls. All those little young girls around him and da-da-da-da-da. He's with, you mean to tell me that he was the most best gentleman? I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying he was in an atmosphere that he loves. What happened? Who knows? We don't know. But we do know that he's terrified. He's terrified of it. And he's trying to do everything he can to keep that thing away from the American people. So, though they're saying the Democrats are just using that. Yeah, we're using that because we want to know what's going on. What's going on? And why did this trial go like it went? Why didn't the victims get more than what they got? You know, that sounds like powerful people and money had something to do with that. Yeah. I think that if Jeffrey Epstein was still living, he probably would have got a pardon by Donald Trump. Think about that. All right. So that's where we are with the con thing. Guys, I had to show you some of the stuff. I mean, you're getting lied to. You're getting lied to. Now, other stuff to go with this cabinet is the people that Donald Trump has put in place, guys. Pete Hegseth. Oh, my God. That one is the scariest one of all, because he's over that military. I've never seen the Secretary of Defense so invested like this guy. But listen to this report from Jen Psaki on MSNBC on the meeting where Pete Hegseth, Department of Defense, I'm not saying Department of War, Secretary, called in all of the major leaders of the country into one meeting. Yeah. But listen to her interview and take on the whole Pete Hegseth meeting. Here we go.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth addressed the hundreds of top military brass they had abruptly ordered to Virginia in a 45-minute partisan speech to the nation's top commanders. Hegseth lectured them on fitness and grooming. He railed about so-called woke standards, and he declared that under his leadership, the department would end the, quote, war on warriors.
The military has been forced by foolish and reckless politicians to focus on the wrong things. In many ways, this speech is about fixing decades of decay. Some of it obvious, some of it hidden. You might say we're ending the war on warriors. I heard someone wrote a book about that.
The last part was a completely unctuous plug for himself there, just in case you missed that. I'm sure you didn't. Because Hegseth, of course, did write a book in 2024 titled The War on Warriors, which he just plugged in the speech. And in that book, Hegseth argued at length that the United States military should ignore the Geneva Conventions and other elements of international law governing the conduct of war. He wrote, quote, "We are just fighting with one hand behind our back, and the enemy knows it. If our warriors are forced to follow rules arbitrarily and asked to sacrifice more lives so that international tribunals feel better about themselves, aren't we just better off winning our wars according to our own rules? Who cares what other countries think?" It's really missing the point entirely. Now, the book followed years of Hegseth advocating for U.S. service members accused or convicted of committing atrocities and war crimes. In 2019, that advocacy helped lead to Trump issuing pardons or reversing punishments for 3 men, two of whom had been turned in by members of their own platoons. And today, Hegseth reiterated his extreme view that United States forces should prioritize intimidation and lethality over law.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. A few months ago, I was at the White House when President Trump announced his Liberation Day for America's trade policy. It was a landmark day. Well, today is another Liberation Day. The liberation of America's warriors, in name, in deed, and in authorities. You kill people and break things for a living. You are not politically correct and don't necessarily belong always in polite society.
Now, part of what makes Hegseth's comments particularly chilling is that immediately after he stepped off the stage, up came Donald Trump.
I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War, like what I call the Gulf of America, because to me it was always the Gulf of America. And you know, we want war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there, and you know, sometimes you have to do it. I have settled so many wars. I love Space Wars because that was my creation. You know, when you create something, I love it, and the people we put in there were good. I got that right. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. I'm a very aesthetic person, and I don't like some of the ships you're doing aesthetically.
Now, you would think that if he thought about calling all of the military leaders around the world to Quantico, Virginia, he could have at least written a comprehensive speech. It's not what he did. Now,
all right, so y'all hear that? Y'all heard that? This man has called in all of the United States leaders, generals, major generals everywhere, into one room to basically just tell them how the new Department of War is going to work. Then you have Donald Trump coming in. I mean, this is just the biggest con, and now you see that they're holding on to military, because that's what Donald Trump does things. Whenever he can't get his way with certain things when it comes to law, he throws the military in our face, right? He's also going into the Constitution, finding all of these laws from the early 1800s and trying to make them work, and then throw it at the Supreme Court, who takes the bait. That's why we have legal racial profiling, because of our senior Supreme Court. Yeah, that really happened. So this is all a big con, people. Staying with my theme. You are being conned by Donald Trump and his entire administration. And like Kamala Harris says in her book, 107 Days, this is not something that Donald Trump came up with by himself. This has been in place for a long time, decades, especially since when Barack Obama was elected into office, you know, the Tea Party and all that stuff came. They have been working on this for a long time. You know what? Donald Trump was just the one. They needed a leader, and he fit the bill. He fit what they needed. So they have been structuring this thing for a while. So trust and believe that if Donald Trump were no longer here, these minions are still out there, and they're going to try again to keep this thing going. So we have to debunk the entire thing in order to get this out of our country. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But once we get back into power, we can get control of some of this stuff here. All right. All right. So in my last week's podcast, we talked a lot about Charlie Kirk. So I came across this video of a young girl, who was a former member and follower of Charlie Kirk. And I want you to listen to what's happened with her. And I'm not trying to discredit the guy or anything like that. I'm just telling you, don't be conned in believing things. Check out things for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Everybody that looks shiny, like a little nickel, ain't shiny, and they're not all that good. You need to, if you don't have the spirit of discernment, you know, some of us don't. I do, you know, but listen to what she said about Charlie Kirk and working with him, and then you make the decision. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Caroline, and I used to work for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. I grew up in rural conservative bubble in the suburbs of Houston. My family was conservative, so I just grew up surrounded by conservative politics. And as a privileged white woman in the conservative bubble, I was never forced to confront politics and really think for myself about what I believed in. So when I was 17 and I met Charlie Kirk and he talked about limited government and fiscal responsibility, it just made sense for me. And so from there, I ended up working for Turning Point full time for part of it during the first Trump election. And a lot of what I did was writing articles specifically designed to scare people and garner traffic and really just ratchet up the intensity of the political moment. And at the time, I thought that I was saving America. I really thought that this was the end-all be-all, and that if we did not fight for these conservative values, America was going to fall apart, and Hillary Clinton was going to ruin the world, and the deep state, I wasn't even a term at the time, but basically like the liberal, like media, liberal elite is going to take over the world. And I genuinely believed that. I really did. But then in college, I was studying political science, and I started to learn how the world actually works. I started to learn about governance, about the importance of government and what the government can do. And a lot of conservative politics stuff just started to not make as much sense to me. I started to really question what I believed. And that was so scary because in the place where I was at, your political view was like, number one, synonymous with your faith. It was like you almost worshipped politics and your political stance. It was so extreme that for me to question my political views was akin to having a crisis of faith. But I did have that crisis of faith, and the more I unraveled it, the more I realized that conservative politics just did not make sense to me, that I thought it was unethical, that the right wing was getting more and more extreme by the day, and that I was not comfortable with it. So that's when I pretty much quit Turning Point. And I said, this is not okay. What is being done to the electorate is not okay. But I was scared and I was confused. And so it took me a really long time to really figure out what I believed. And now, the second Trump administration, I can't not talk about it. And so I want to share my experiences as somebody who used to be super conservative, who is now involved in liberal politics in small town Texas, and talk about how important it is for, if you are claiming a political party or political ideology, to really understand what it is you're talking about and what it is you're championing. So stick around. I'll be sharing some of my stories from Turning Point, as well as hopefully connecting with people who...
I want to give you her name. I don't have her name, her TikTok handle. But if I find it, I'll put it in the comments of the podcast. But yes, so
we're formerly conservative. Maybe they're kind of thinking about it, really hoping to do some good in this dark time.
Okay. I did see it now. Her handle is Baby Blue TX for Baby Blue Texas, if you want to look for her in TikTok and follow her story. But I found that to be interesting because she kind of helped me with this theme. She's trying to tell you guys, think for yourself. Look it up. Because what you're being fed is not good. It's not true. It's not healthy. It's not right. And I mean right versus wrong. It's not right. So guys, I'm speaking to MAGA right now. You've been conned. And we're sorry. And what you think is presidential is not. We have a con man in office, and he's conned a bunch of people into believing he's the best thing since everything. And he's not. He's a liar. And we have to stick together and make sure that he doesn't totally obliterate our country. Okay? So tonight, we talked about Kamala Harris's new book, 107 Days, and you read between the lines, you see the truth. It's a campaign. It was a campaign designed for her to lose. You got to read the book, not because she wasn't qualified, but because she couldn't leave, but because too many people in power still couldn't stomach the idea of a woman leading this nation. That's really the ugly truth. We also talked about the bare damage Donald Trump has done to this country, the cons, the lies, the manipulation he's played on the American people like a deck of cards, and we're still paying the price for it. I mean, he's left a vision where there should have been unity. I mean, chaos everywhere. And there should be leadership. And still, some of you people defend the indefensible, and I don't get that. And then there was the speech that Secretary Hegseth did, stood in front of America's generals and admirals and gave them a beatdown. Yeah. He didn't mince words at all, right? He didn't sugarcoat. He probably told them it's a new day and this is what we're going to be doing. I mean, it was demeaning. The way he talked to women, and there were a couple of women, and you can see what he's done already. He made sure that they kind of fail the country. I said, what did they do? They don't decide wars and battles, not them. I mean, it was very uncomfortable to watch. So this is a sad day. That was a sad day, and America is going to live down in infamy of what happened. Now, what we've done is, guys, we've let corruption become the normal. It cannot. So here's the bottom line. It doesn't have to stay this way. It does not. But only if you wake up. Only if you give a damn. Only if we stop letting cons and cowards and shapeshifters dictate the future of this country. It's time, guys. It's time to open up your eyes, because the cost of staying asleep and not speaking is just getting to be far too high now. Too high. You got to help us do something. What can you do? Do a podcast. Like, I don't know. What can you do? But whatever you can do, we need to make sure that our voices are being heard. If that's a vote, if that's you getting petitions, whatever that is, you find that. You find that. All right. So as I said, this was going to be a different podcast, but it's about people being conned by this administration. Guys, if you don't, I want to have someone on my podcast that can really help me understand why they are so attached to him with all of the lies and stuff that he's done. Why are you? I really would like to know that. Okay? So everyone, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And thank you for joining me on Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. Until we meet again. Bye now.